Hi everyone, I am Nu-Trix, and today we're going to talk about the Falcon from UVI. It's a very, very powerful sampler, synthesizer. It's just a big synth that can do a lot. I was super surprised on the amount of stuff you could do with this. I'll show you without being too heavy. I'll show you how deep this thing goes. It's very wide, very deep, very rich, and you can do a lot of things with it. And it's basically, for what I understand, the backbone of the entire family of synthesizer that you find, or banks of sound that you find for UVI. There's this collection of synthesizer from like the JP Legacy, and they sound amazing. They really sound good. And they're mostly based on sampling, because they sample these original synthesizers and they recreate it in a cool way how it works. And in this thing, you can understand why they can do that, because the Falcon is really deep, very powerful, and this is basically the engine, for what I understand. Because I'll show you, there's a little secret that you can do if you have these vintage collection of UVI synth. They can actually load in there, and you can go further with it. So I'll show you at the end. So let's go in. And you'll listen. You'll see that it sounds good. So let's actually go into this mode so you see what I'm doing. So what you have here, let's go quickly. You have three big sections. From the left, you have basically the patches. If I want more sound, I click on the right, where I've got basically the list I can take. I want to have, I don't know, I'm selecting this one, drag it here. So what I have now on the left are two different patches. You have the patch number 1 and the patch number 2. And these two patches are on a different channel. I'm playing on channel 1. I have bass analog. I change to channel 2. I'm now playing the FM X for OP. So they're basically ways to have more than one sound. So it's for me, it's like these old multi-timbral synthesizer. Well, I mean, they're not all, they're still selling. I mean, the Tritons, the Motif, the Phantoms, all in these families of synthesizer are the JV20 and stuff like that. That is what you can do here. You can have a lot of these patches there. And the way you can combine these patches is something you can change at the top. You've got the mixer for the volume of each of them. You see now you've got volume here. And you have performance. So performance, you can have many different layers of patches. And if you put them in the same channel, you basically could say, well, this sound is from the bass, so it's going to be from, I don't know, C0 to C2. And this one is for piano. It's going to be just my leads. I'm going to have just C4 to C6. And between C2 to C4 is going to be violin, whatever, you know. And you can also have other sound that only triggers if you're playing really loud or hard on your keys, so it's going to be over 100 of velocity. So you can create this here. I'm not using this that much because I'm not a performer per se. I don't play keyboard good enough that I would want to do this. But those who are performers will love this, because it's actually made for that. It's really efficient for that. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back into main. You have this window here. I'm going to get rid of this one. So I only have one at a time. So you click on it and go delete part. It's gone. So I have this one. So the middle window is the one where you actually do synthesis. And you've got tabs at the top to actually move between the section. We'll come back to that. And the right section is where you actually go and browse through either, I would say, modules, samples, and memory patches. Right now, we're in the folder kind of approach here, the first one, and you're basically going through the memory patches. So these are all the sounds that I have, because I've got the entire Anthology system. It's all there, Legacy, all of there, and I have in there the Falcon Factory. The Falcon Factory is basically the built-in sound that came with it, and they're really good. And just for that, it might be the reason why somebody buys this without even playing with the synth. Just the sound they made are really nice. You know, if I'm going to go back to number 1, you've got these animated sound that are just super cool. I mean, they sound good. They're if you're into also, there's a lot of sound, I would say, more for a cinematic type of music, but it doesn't have to be. But I mean, they're really rich. They're all the classic, bass lead and all of that. But these animated sound, they're just like there's so much stuff happening, and it's really cool. So it's a really cool banks of sound just by buying this. But the power in it is super interesting. So let's actually go in. So the first window you have is kind of a graphic window where you can modify these, a little bit of a controller. You can actually edit that window and assign where you want and change the value of these. So these is kind of I would say macros that you would assign here if you want. And you would have stuff like, oh, I want a bell, or I don't want a bell, turn it off. I'll just have the pad. Oh, I just want a pad. So without going into synthesis, you can say, well, I don't want a pad, I just want the strings. So it's very simple to go quickly and I want the pad to come in. So it's very simple, very quickly to use, but this is not the synthesis. This is basically for playing live, and you just want a limited amount of control, and you don't want to, look through all the features because you're not composing sound, you're actually playing music. So if you go into edit, that's where most of the things happen. Now, you need to understand something about the edit and the way it works. You have program, which is kind of the biggest box. And in programs, you've got smaller box. The smaller box is a layer. Layers, you can have many of layers. Of course, they can be layered together. And in each layer, you can have key groups, many key groups. And in each key groups, you can have a whole synthesizer, like oscillator, envelope, filter, and all that stuff. But you can have also envelope and filter at the layer section. You can also have it at the key. You can have it at the key group, at the layer, and you can have it at the program section. So this can be a little bit misleading, but you need to understand that if you put let's say a reverb at the program section, it's going to affect every layer and every key group. But you might want to say, I want to create a drum machine, kick, snare, hi-hat. Well, maybe I want to reverb just on the snare, but not on the kick, and I want to delay on the hi-hat. So then you would need to add these effects at the key group, which is the lowest, the smallest size object, if you want. So that's kind of how you have to think about it. So layers, key groups, key groups. Think about it. The keys you're playing, the key groups, then they're together into a layer, and you can have many layers, and many layers can be in a program, and then a program, you can have many of them because a program is a patch, basically. It's really powerful for that. Now, for each layers, if you want to see what they can do, you have, you can actually hide stuff like this by clicking here. If I don't want to see this, I don't want to see it, I can just click and not see these things. I can also limit what I see on screen. I'm not turning them off right now. I'm just changing the visual of it, not looking at them. If I go like this, now I just have the program, the top layer, the big box. And in it, I have all these different modules. The basic one is the gain, the pan, stuff that are basic. Then you have effects. And you click on it, you see your effect. You click on spark, you see spark verb, and then so you can see the effects right away. You want to add a new one, you have to press plus, and you just select the one you want. Or you go in the right column, and you click on effects, and then you say, I want to have a distortion, a fuzz, and then you drop your fuzz onto the plus. You have your fuzz. So really quick to do. The interest of using the one on the left, the right side is basically you can drag already a preset in it if you want to. But I mean, you could just create a fuzz and then click here to have the list of the presets also, or just make the one you want. If you don't want it, click on the X, it's gone. Done deal. So it's very simple, very quick. You have multi-effects also. So many inputs and outs. Actually, if you bring this one in, how does it look? Well, you have a compressor. So let's actually go back, and then you can also add this. This is what they call events. Events, you have it on that column here, that tab. And events could be like an ARP, an arpeggiator. It could be, line. I don't know what line is. Bass line. Actually, would it play a bass line? Yeah. Oh, cool. It's kind of an arpeggiator of a bass line. Okay. Mono bass line. You have these different types of. Okay. So I mean, it's really there's so much option in it. So you have this. So these are more about playing, like MIDI notes and arpeggiator. Let's look at a MIDI player, a microtuner, a script processor. You can even have chord recognition. So you could actually play whatever you want. He sees the chords and then use that to control something else. So it's, again, I am astonished at the power of this thing has. I mean, there's different sequencer. You've got Euclidean tonal sequencer. So I don't know how to use this, but I know some people love this. It's still going to be part of what I need to learn at one point. So that what you have here. So and you have also polyphonic sequencer. So there's really a lot of things that you can play. So a lot of options, and all of these could be sequencer for notes, but they can be also assigned to other things. So the modules are then on the right, and just if you continue going through the list of modules, the last one are basically envelopes, LFOs, and other type of controls, but they're mostly modulation sources. Okay, gates, different type of envelopes. So it's really, really powerful. The list is really interesting. Now let's actually go back into edit. If you want to see everything else, right now you just see the program. You click on the second one, then you've got the layers, and then you click here. These are controls that you have in the layer. Then you have the key groups. In the key groups, I've got an envelope, another envelope, another envelope, an LFO, another LFO, and then you have the oscillator. Let's actually go in and try different types of synthesis. You've got the analog, basic stuff. Change this. Turn this one off. You have too much stuff is happening at the same time. I would need to turn off. I can go here. Let's pick a simple lead that is, something like this. Yeah, I said simple. I have something simple? No. They're all going to be just massively big sounds. Let's actually turn these off. See, I can have. What you have in this one, you've got analog stack. So these are up to 8 oscillators being played at the same time. You have a wavetable, another wavetable, another wavetable. It's just, again, a massive sound. So this is how you create sound in this. If I turn these off and I just keep the first one, I have the analog stack. I still have some effects on it, but so this, what's cool about this is you can actually go up to 8. So if you have 8, you can create stuff like a super saw. Have 8 sawtooth, a little bit detuned, and just give you this massive sound. So this could do it. Also, what you have is a wavetable. So turn off the stack and go wavetable. You can select a huge amount of. There's a huge amount of, let's say in this case, Vox. Just the amount of sound you have. Let's say Falcon. Now, if you want to affect like an LFO to this, you would actually go in, click this, and say, well, add modulation. And there's MIDI learn, there's modulation wheel, all these classic controllers. There's external controllers, like the list here, and others that could come from the way the instrument is being played. And internal, coming either from another part of the synth or just adding new. Let's say, in this case, I'm saying new LFO, but I don't want it the program layer. I wanted the key groups. I wanted in the key group to have LFO, a new one. It will create a new LFO. Would be LFO2, I guess. click on it, I should see my LFO. Then that's it, and it moves. There we go. So you decide how you want it to affect, you know. And then you play with that. There's also the phase distortion. Phase distortion can be a really cool thing if you like it. In my case, I do like it. And there's also FM. So you always like you add FM. You like there's always other ways to distort your sound and create something really nasty and noisy and aggressive if you need to. So this is pretty cool. Now, something people love if they want to do something that is more, I would say, subtle and nice. I will show you something in the pads, and in the pads there's a lot of very nice. Again, it's the wavetable in this case. Let's try this one. Or this one. So now this is pretty fun. Now you say, well, I have some controls, but I don't see what's happening. So there's another layer that you can show, which is the one here at the bottom. You click it. These are the section, the key groups mapped on the keys, and you can see the sample playing. In this case, we have 5 voices, and we can spread them in time. So you hear these 5 moving. You can bring down the density, actually density here, and the size. So it can be really bizarre and fun. I imagine doing this with voices. Like it does a lot of things. So there's also drums. There's also drum sounds you can have. Actually take bass. Often they're clean because there's like let's go back into the layer of this thing. Close this one, and I'm gonna load in just a drum so you see what this looks like. The drum, and now there's a delay on it, but okay, so you understand. If I go in, and instead of that, I'm going to load this. I can load in. I want something of hi-hat. That's an open hi-hat. Oh yeah, that's a clap. Tiny clap. So you've got this little synth that is a simple oscillator with a shape. You've got a pitch envelope. You've got a mixer between noise, and you have a noise. You have an amplitude envelope just for the noise, and you have some reaction to velocity and distortion involvement. It's just like it does what it's supposed to. Really efficient. So that's it. That's what this is. It is a pretty cool thing. Now I want to show you something before we go. It makes this a little bit of a secret if you don't know this. Now, as you saw earlier, I've got all the sounds of the vintage collection that you have in it. So if I just take, I don't know, let's say I'm going to take the FM Suite. The JP Legacy. I love that one. So take that and take animated ARP. Okay, that's this one. Or this one. Okay, so this is like what you have on screen is a graphic that they show. You can go between main, edit, mod, effects, and ARP. Now, this I explained in another video. You have to go click on the corner, and you're going to have that option to go see that other video when I show all of these. But now, all that you see here are basically all the options of being able to play. So you can play this the way it was built as the banks of sound. You can just play it and have fun with. But also, you can now go into edit and change all of it. You can actually change it, modify it, and take the sample that they use and make it into something else. And if you look at the bottom, you have all the samples that they sample a Jupiter 8 from are there. So you can take them and do other things with it. So that's where it's really interesting. It's kind of a secret. You have access to the raw stuff that they use to make these cool sounds, but then you can also create whatever you want with it and just open up and then kind of recreate another synth with these same raw sound, So really powerful engine, really cool. The sounds are really nice. I'm actually surprised of the quality that this thing has. The sound in it is it's just a nice sounding synthesizer, and the wealth of option is just even too much at one point because you're wondering where to go. So some people will buy it just for the sound because it sounds really nice. But if you already have the list of the vintage collection and you want to go further with that collection, this could be really the deal because you could actually take these collection and just modify them and just add more to them. So big thumbs up for me. I like the sound. UVI, you do a great job. Keep at it, man. That's it. If you like what I'm doing, thumb up, click on the notification bell, subscribe, talk it with your friends, and make more music. That's it. See you soon. Cheers.